everybody, welcome to the Sky Lounge, and this is Cruise Peruse, episode number 122, boys and girls. What more can I say than the words football? Monday Night Football was back yesterday with the doubleheader. The Texans at Saints and Broncos at Raiders, or as Chucky likes to call them, the Raiders. Now, boys and girls, interesting set of matches of Monday Night Football that we had here. Let's talk about the Texans or New Orleans game. All right, I gotta address a couple of things here. Texans, do you really think your team got better? Yeah, Texan defenders, do you really think your team got better? I don't. I remember guys like Colin Cowherd, all these media types saying, oh, Texans got the better deal here. Laramie Tunsil was great. Laramie Tunsil, along with that entire O-line, looked like complete garbage yesterday. It looked like the same goddamn DeShaun Watson, running for his life, getting killed out there, making decent enough plays from all the great offensive weapons he has, but getting their getting their dicks kicked in each and every step of the way. And yeah, DeShaun had a couple of really nice passes, really nice throws to some of his receivers there. You know, namely DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller, cats like that. But this is where also I have to talk about the Saints. Saints, your defense is horrendous. Like I that secondary is so laughable. I am glad the Seahawks aren't that bad. That's how bad it is. Like, the Seahawks secondary isn't anything to boast about at all. Just letting you guys know that right now. But I'm looking at both the secondaries, especially the Saints secondary, and I think, wow, that looks pathetic. Like, how are you not getting any fucking reads out there? How do you just let the ball slip right through your hands? It's crazy, because I really thought, you know, initially, I thought the Saints were playing really terribly. Offensively, they just looked out of rhythm. And, yeah, despite decent protection for Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara, just really lackluster plays in the first half for the Saints. And, you know, they were able to, you know, get something out of the drives here and there. But Texans was up. Texans was up in the fucking first half. Even to longer, you know, to a bigger extent in the second half. At one point, were they up by, what, like 21-10? Or some shit like that? Because that's how I remember it. 21-10, maybe. But, listen, scorelines aside, all right? Scorelines aside, you still have Drew Brees. Arguably one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. Absolutely just stud talent. And you got DeShaun Watson, who is a nice young quarterback who, what, is he year 3, year 4? Looks pretty decent. The way he's moving, the way he's, you know, staying in the pocket, even, you know, when the pressure's on him, getting those nice passes and looks. I mean, DeShaun looked clinical yesterday. He was very impressive. And I take nothing away from DeShaun Watson's performance. But, again, I think both defenses left a lot to be desired with. I think the Texans defense was definitely looking at themselves and thinking, wow, did we get worse? I'm pretty sure the thoughts are there. The thoughts have to be there, because it really does look like the Saints defense. Well, Saints defense is shit, but the Texans defense looks like it's gotten somehow worse. And that's so crazy to say, because, yeah, you know, it's not just Jadeveon Clowney and Tyrann Mathieu. It just feels like that entire team. It doesn't feel right. But despite all that, and despite New Orleans getting a really late lead in the game with about, 50 seconds left to go? Was it 56 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter? This is where the game got really crazy. So believe the scoreline was 27. Yeah, no, it was like 27 to 28. Yeah, it was. Holy shit. It was 27 to 28. No, it wasn't 27 to 28. It was like 21 to 27. Was that the score? Holy shit. Yeah, for the longest time, 21-27 was the score. Actually, no. New Orleans got the field goal from 24 to 21 to make it 27-21, right? So, yeah, this is where the details kind of get clear, because this was where, like, I started screaming my fucking head off. Because your boy bet the Texans at +7, parlayed that with the under at 53. So you can imagine at 48 total, I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm genuinely thinking, oh my God, if the Saints get one really great stop on defense, this shit's gonna be done. Like, this shit's done. Texans lose. What happens? Gap is wide open. Like, I don't know what the fuck that defense, I don't know what the hell the safeties were doing for New Orleans, but that shit got wide open. And DeShaun Watson gets a pass in, and I forget which receiver it was, but it looked like it was DeAndre Hopkins. Gets a touchdown from DeShaun within less than 10 seconds. Less than 10 seconds, right? Well, if that 56, so like 30 seconds are now left on the clock. Texans have tied it, 27 to 27. At this point, I am screaming and cursing because I just thought, wow, if the Saints just held on, we could have made a little bit of money. You know, I only bet like $10 here and there. I'm not boasting, all right? I'm not going to be here to, you know, tell you folks, oh, I'm better than you because I bet money. Like, no. The reality of that situation was, I thought home game Monday night, first week, it was going to be a really close bout. Defenses both show out, but last minute of the game, literally within the last seconds of the game, Saints defense completely choke it. Now, granted, throughout the entirety of this game, there was a lot of ref ball that kind of undermined the efforts of the Saints. And, you know, if they lost, of course, we would have heard about it nonstop all season, right? I mean, we don't even get a break from the referee thing, you know, with the NFC Championship, which I agree. I think there's a fucking fundamental problem there, and the knee-jerk reaction to, you know, rectify it by the NFL is kind of silly. But the Saints defense completely choked it. They did. And it's only thanks to the godliness of Drew Brees that Saints are able to get into field goal position. And this wasn't even an easy field goal position. Can we give a fucking huge shout out to Will Lutz? Can we give a fucking shout out to Lutz, please? Because kickers and punters, all right? And I know Lutz is a kicker, all right? But the punters in this game were immaculate. And so shout out to the kickers and punters out there in the NFL, because, hey man, kickers and punters are fucking athletes too, okay? Like, the precision that they have to, you know, kick that ball with, and to make sure, you know, the offense on the opposing side starts at a disadvantage, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of calculation. That's a lot of athleticism that a lot of you motherfuckers don't have the wherewithal or the fucking capacity to have. So I give a huge shout out to Will Lutz, because after missing an extra pointer early on in the game, you know, this was the moment. 58 yards, because Drew Brees got them there, and the masterful work of the timeout and Sean Payton just doing Sean Payton things, coming up in the clutch, able to get the field goal, and Saints win it 30 to 28. Now, people say this was a great game. I say situationally, it might have been a good game, but overall, I think this was just a really rusty week one team on both sides, where you know both teams can play up to their potential. You know both teams are really great on their good day, right? But this was a game wherein I really felt the defenses on both sides were absolutely atrocious. I also thought just people hyping this up to be the game of the year. I don't really get it. I just don't. Failing defensive plays like that in the last few minutes of the game on both sides just reeks of mediocrity. And this is why I say situationally, I thought this game was okay in spurts if you're looking for that shit. But overall, this was a messy-ass game. And a couple of easy takeaways that everyone is going to be like, duh, with me. Saints defense is still shit. Texans O-line is still shit. And the referees are still shit. I mean, good God, folks. I mean, did I have to say that? Kind of stating the obvious here, right? Because, yeah, the Saints, with that defense, they're not getting anywhere. Yes, you'll probably get to the playoffs because your division is a fucking joke. Between the Panthers, the Bucks, and the Falcons, the Saints are probably going to have an easier way to win the division than anybody else. But I also think, yeah, maybe a bit of an overreaction, but if you continue to play your secondary and defense like this, holy shit, dude, what are you really going to do against maybe if you face Aaron Rodgers? What if you face a team like Carson Wentz's Eagles? You're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. And of course, week one reactions tend to be a bit of a hyperbole. It tends to be a bit of an overreaction, but simultaneously, there are little nuances within the game that you can notice that could be a glaring problem in the future. For me, the reason why I bitch about the Texans O-line is because it's going to be another quarterback that's murdered because of organizational incompetence. I'm no fan of the Texans. I'm not. I don't defend the Texans when they fail in the playoffs almost every fucking season with the amount of talent that they got. And so what's frustrating to me now, more so than ever, with Andrew Luck being retired, we've seen great young talents, especially within the quarterback position. I mean, the whole Andrew Luck thing got me so upset because, yeah, as much as I love defense, as much as I love the 10-17 fights, the fucking 7-3 battles that defenses can't put up in an entire game, the National Football League is a quarterback league. And when we get elite talents within the quarterback position, we should treasure it because it makes the game better for all of us, right? And so when a prodigious talent like Andrew Luck was, down with an injury, it was really dreadful. It was some dreadful shit. And what I'm terrified of as a fan of good quarterbacks is seeing DeShaun Watson just get destroyed. You saw him yesterday making a Warriors effort, just throwing passes. What did he throw? Like 3 touchdown passes? 1 rushing touchdown. I mean, the guy was a fucking warrior. The 1 interception, yes. But Deshaun Watson was an absolute warrior. But his O-line didn't make shit better. It made shit worse at moments. And the 1 rushing touchdown where Deshaun Watson went into the end zone and landed really awkwardly on his shoulders and what looked like his hips, I'm just afraid he might get banged up again. I'm just afraid that the O-line might not be able to protect him, and you're going to have another Andrew Luck situation in your hands. I don't want that. I don't want to see that. We just saw a fucking quarterback in the AFC South go down, Nick Foles. That's dreadful news. It's not that I like the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's just that, yeah, an MVP, Super Bowl MVP who brought the morale of a city up and who is a decent enough talent. I mean, good grief, dude. You don't want to see those guys go down. You want to see the game prolong itself, get better. Shit. So that's why, to me, the Texans are, they're not getting my vote of confidence at all. Unless you start proving to yourself, everybody else around the league that your O-line is something worthwhile, boy, oh boy, I don't think you're going to get a lot of things done, man. And the Titans really, whether you call that a shock win or not, the Titans have really come out of week one looking like the heavy favorites of the AFC South. And who would have thought, coming into week one, we'd be saying that shit. But kudos to the Titans, man. They have been looking fresh. They've been doing their job. They've been really low-key, too. And I know Marcus Mariota isn't, the perfect specimen. He's not. He's really not. But he's going to get the job done, right? I think he's within the realm of like that Dak Prescott quarterback. Really good. Not great, not amazing, not elite tier, but he's going to be serviceable enough. He's going to be a decent enough quarterback to get the job done. So, to me, in the AFC South, this is just a worrying situation for the Texans because these are one of those games they would have won last season. I could tell you that right now. The way the Texans won some of their games last season by these small, ridiculous margins was indicative of how the football gods can play a factor into this, right? It's the battle of inches. What if Davenport or one of the secondary in the Saints team gets their hands on DeShaun's ball? And there were a lot of occasions where both sides, honestly, either Brees or DeShaun Watson, they could have easily given up interceptions. They really could have. But it wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. Lots of things that dissect with that game. Because I believe beyond the fact that people calling this the best game of the year, I think this was the most mistake-prone game of the year. I mean, good God, the amount of penalties that were there, it was unbelievable, right? And what's more unbelievable, boys and girls, and our really final topic of the Cruise Peruse, is the Raiders. Raiders. Kudos to the Raiders. Wow. I honestly did not think, after all the drama, after all the bullshit, that the Raiders would come out with a win. I did say on the Piggy Skin Picks that I do pick the Raiders in this week, and they'll lose a lot more games. This might be the one win out of a lot of losses, but I'm gonna hold off on that, retracting that statement. But I will say this: yesterday was thoroughly impressive. I thought the Raiders were extremely impressive yesterday. Not only did Derek Carr look like himself from 2-3 years ago, and that was beautiful to watch. I thought Derek Carr looked like a fucking general. He looked like the grizzled warrior that led the Raiders to the playoffs a couple seasons back before, unfortunately, he got injured. But he looked like that guy again. And that was brilliant to watch. And you had all these solid pieces within the lineup of the Raiders, especially within that receiving corps. No Antonio Brown, but they played free. Last season in Oakland, no more Antonio Brown. I feel the squad in the Raiders, they were playing free, playing without pressure, and playing to their heart's content. And this was just, if Al Davis was alive, I think he would be ecstatic at what he saw yesterday. Long balls up top, grinding out through the O-line, and also the, from the wide receiver. Just doing the business. Just absolutely doing the business. Shout out to Josh Jacobs. Shout out to Derek Carr. Because, yes, I talk about how Derek Carr was nearly immaculate. I mean, warrior shit, unbelievably cool motherfucker under the pressure. And then you have a guy like Josh Jacobs, rookie out of Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, boys and girls. Everyone kind of had the sense that in the NFL draft that this is the best running back from the draft. He proved it. First rookie debut with over 100 yards from the line of scrimmage with 2 touchdowns since LaDainian Tomlinson. Let that sink through your fucking heads, kids. LaDainian Tomlinson is a Hall of Famer running back, unbelievable stud. And if this is the case for Josh Jacobs, hey, best of luck to the young fella. Best of luck to the young fella. Because, as much as I was berating Gruden the last few weeks, I am pleasantly surprised that the Raiders did so well yesterday. And contrary to that, I was very and genuinely surprised that Joe Flacco and the Broncos were so terrible. I really thought Vic Fangio, being a head coach after 20 years, of being of defensive coordinator and just being around the league for 20 years and finally getting his opportunity as head coach would prove to everybody that maturity and understanding the game for 20 years can elevate the team. Maybe the personnel may be a little bit lacking, but, he could make up for it. Unfortunately, his personnel was nowhere near the level of competence that was necessary to get them over that edge. Wow. Where do I even begin with this shit? Where do I even begin? Well, the Denver Broncos honestly felt like the Denver Broncos forgot who Philip Lindsay was. That was a problem. They also forgot that Emmanuel Sanders is back from his injury and he's your best fucking receiver. There were moments in that game where Vic Fangio looked absolutely lost. He didn't know what the fuck he wanted to do. He didn't know what the fuck he needed to do. And it's crazy. It's crazy because I really pegged this Denver team to do a lot better than it did. But, Joe Flacco at the helm, it looked very limited. It looked like the fucking Baltimore Ravens. It just felt as though, oh my God, this is why they shipped him off. This is why, if you're a Broncos fan, you're probably waiting for Drew Lock. You probably are. I've been saying I'd rather have Drew Lock start, week 1, but there you go. You paid Joe Flacco that much money. John Elway's got to figure something's got to give, right? But man, oh man, I don't really know what else to say about the Denver Broncos at this point. Yes, there was the level of incompetence from Joe Flacco, but this is where I also want to give a shout out to the Oakland defense. Oakland defense, wow, way to just destroy the pocket, way to just disrupt Joe Flacco every fucking opportunity he got. And Clelin Ferrell, boys and girls, Clelin Ferrell, remember that name. I think this is going to be a special ass kid. Yeah, I know, a lot of folks say, oh, he's not Khalil Mack. They gave him up for Khalil Mack. All right, dude, Khalil's gone. Get over it. AB's gone. Get over it. Amari, all those guys, they're gone, man. They're gone, dude. Right? But on defense, you have set up what I believe is a new culture for the Raiders. Hard-working, in your nose, just getting shit done. And that's the boys I think the Raiders fans, in their last season in Oakland and their first season in Vegas, will fall in love with. I think ultimately releasing AB, and I know you guys gave up a third and a fifth for him, is the best thing your organization could have done. Now, I'm not crazy about Richie Incognito at all. I think he is a scumbag based on all the things he has done in his past. But who the hell knows? People might be able to change. Who the fuck knows? I mean, for God's sakes, man. When you tell me Vontaze Burfict is a leader in the locker room, I question a lot of things about my life. I think, oh, what? Did you just say Vontaze Burfict? Did you just say Vontaze Burfict is a leader? And I really did question that. I did, boys and girls. I really thought people were pulling my legs when I heard that shit. Boy, oh boy. Raiders fans, I gotta apologize. You know what, Raiders fans? I really do. I think I owe y'all a big apology. I thought this Raiders team was gonna go nowhere. And without AB, I thought maybe 3-13. I think with enough momentum, the Raiders can go 8-8. Now, the curious part of me saying that is this. I think, generally speaking, the entirety of the AFC may go down in terms of win totals per team. But seeing as how the AFC West is such a fucking joke at the moment, I really do think the Raiders have a really great chance. They do. It's their last season in Oakland. They're going to have a game in London, right? But why not cap off the momentum? Why not use this as motivation? Why not, use all the the criticisms and from guys like me, idiots who don't know football, telling people that, oh, they're not going to be any good. Well, go prove them out there. Go prove them wrong. That'd be great. I think if the Raiders really can pull off a wild card berth, you are going to find, obviously you are going to succeed financially in Las Vegas no matter what, Oakland Raiders. But if you can somehow cap off a playoff berth, a wild card berth, before your first season in Las Vegas, boy, oh boy, you are going to inspire a lot of hope. And like I said, boys and girls, I don't really hold a lot of animosity towards NFL teams. Of course, if you're in the NFC West, I'm going to hate you. And if you're not a Seattle Seahawks, team member, I'm going to hate you. That's just part of it, right? That's just going to be a part of it. I'm not really going to change that shit at all. But other teams, I will cheer for in terms of, rooting them on to do well. I'm not going to be buying shirts. I'm not going to be doing any of that garbage shit. But the Raiders are going to be, playing in my hometown. Well, the town I live in. And really, I'm just saying right now, if they can carry this on, if they can carry this momentum from this win and carry it to other games, you fucking twat. I think the Raiders can, cause a lot of, create a lot of doubters, create a lot of headlines. As for the Denver Broncos, what is that O-line? What is even a tight end? Like, I get Fant is going to be a really solid prospect, but wow. There are a lot of things that if you're the Broncos right now, that you are hoping shit gets done in the next few weeks. You are genuinely hoping that Vic Fangio can figure this shit out. Because I'll tell you right now, boys and girls, oh, the NFL season is a brutal, brutal sport. Especially because it's so, it's such a small period of time to play ball. And, one loss, it could have huge repercussions in the near future, right? Like the Broncos right now, that loss is not only embarrassing. It's not only to a division rival, but this was quote unquote your easiest game, and you blew it. You didn't show up. You used a quarterback and a scheme and play calling that was so one-dimensional that the Raiders they took you to town. They took you behind the fucking shed, man. They ass-rammed you so fucking hard. It's unbelievable that the scoreline was as close as it was. Don't let that scoreline, fool you into thinking this game was close. It wasn't. It wasn't even fucking close. And it's crazy to say that, but the Raiders inspired a lot of hope for their fans and for themselves, really. And I found that really enjoyable to watch yesterday. I was pleasantly surprised. And yeah, I've been berating the Raiders for the longest time on this channel. You could go back, boys and girls. You can find all the tapes. I don't lie about that shit. Like, I know what I fucking said. I said the Raiders are going to be terrible. I thought John Gruden was he's just fucking pulling everyone's legs. But just based on the one game, they look good. Now, can they string a couple of wins? That's the big question. Can they go into next week? Can they go into, midweek in London, do well there? Can they string wins? And if they do, watch out, everybody. The Raiders have decent pieces. They do. They've been building the last 2 years. They've been building. Just saying. So, the Broncos lose it. Raiders win it. Saints eke it out. Texans fart it out. But of course, boys and girls, at the end of the day, we all hate the referees. Right? No matter what teams we cheer for, we all hate the referees. Unless, you're a Saints fan, you wear the referee jersey and still boo them, which I don't really understand, but alrighty. that's that. So, boys and girls, follow me at the Sky Lounge and all the links in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe for more daily content. The fuck off.